maximum security prison is on your right-hand side, built in 1963 by the prisoners themselves. It can accommodate 800 prisoners at a time, but I won't tell you much about it because at the end of this tour, an ex-political prisoner will be sharing his experience with you. In 1800s, Robben Island was used as a leper colony. The site on your right-hand side is the leper graveyard. On the island, we have about 1,500 graves of those lepers who died on the island, and the prison is built over some of them. In 1846, it was believed that leprosy was incurable and contagious. And so all those people who suffered from it were dumped here just to be kept out of sight, out of mind. There was no treatment for them. On their arrival on the island, they were separated in gender and in race because the authorities did not want them to have children, as it was believed that they would pass the disease to their children. But nevertheless, 41 healthy babies were born. Those babies were taken away from their parents, adopted by the parents from the mainland, never to see their parents again.
Yeah.
There's a lot of voting about. Where are you from? France. English, you know, people from France, yeah, when they speak English, it's got French inside. Here we are, Mandela. Ladies and gentlemen, wooden door came with the glass. Remember the glass both inside and outside? 1975. Every cell here, a prisoner had a single steel bunk, a bookshelf, a table, a chair, and a mounted cubicle on the wall. What we're showing you is the period before the changes were brought about. 2 mats, 4 blankets is what originally the setup would have been like. Nelson Mandela is one of the tallest prisoners ever to come here. He was 194 centimeters tall. Some people say 6'4". Yeah, I think that's the one. 6'4", 6'5". That's how tall Mandela was. You know, when he had to go inside the cell, he couldn't just walk straight in. He had to bend down, you know. Otherwise, he'd have hit the top there. And for him to sleep, it was a serious struggle to stretch his legs. He had to bend the knees at all times. And when he made the beds, of course, the steel bunks, they were thinking about people like me, you know, this size, not the size of Mandela. They were not custom made, you know, in the prison. The light and the button on the wall, that was to indicate to an officer if I need help for whatever reason. By pressing the speaker button inside, it triggered the light on the outside. We always called it room service. Okay, now there was no other cell other than that one Mr. Mandela was in, folks, and he was flanked by 2 of his best friends, Walter Sisulu on the other side, and this side Governor Mbeki. Mbeki was the father of Thabo Mbeki, who went on to succeed Mandela as the president of South Africa. All right, from here we're going next door in section A. Section A, folks, we've got the cell stories. There the cells are open and you can read some of the information, you know, take pictures and see some of those who contributed in the freedom that we're fighting for in this country. And their stories, you know, will never be known like Mandela. That's the reason we've got that there, and we call it the cell stories. And then after that, we are going to go to the section where I was kept in, and then we conclude the tour. Anyway, the cells are open. You can go into any of those cells. All right, ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Robben Island, to maximum security prison. And I'll be your host, showing you around the prison. My name is Khoto Glenn. Khoto is spelled K-G-O-T-S-O. It is a Sotho Setswana name. I'm from Soweto, born in there, grew up in Soweto, and one of many political activists that were locked up in this prison during those days who engaged in the system in the fight against the system for apartheid. I spent 7 years in the prison from 84 to 91, prison number 3884, 38/84. I did not come alone. I had 4 co-accused, and our trial was in the Supreme Court of Johannesburg, sitting before a judge and 2 assessors. Initially, at the local magistrate court, were arraigned with conspiracy to overthrow government. Then, a few weeks later, formally charged with treason. And it took 35 weeks of court trial days to arrive at a guilt verdict. We did, of course, have legal representation coming from the International Legal Aid Defense Fund. It was then a British-based NPO. Now, sentencing was on the 21st of September 1984, and I got a 25-year sentence. My co-accused had their own sentences, and the lowest being 18 years. From there, it was a long road trip overnight to get to JT1 waterfront, and a ferry called Susan Kruger took about 50 minutes to bring us to this island. And as of then, I simply became a number 3884, officially to be released on the 20th of September in 2009 at 12 midday. Well, that day never came because of Mandela, who was talking to 2 presidents. Initially, it was with P.W. Botha, and Botha was more interested in Mandela, not everybody else. And those talks did not achieve their desired results in terms of releasing Mandela with conditions. So they collapsed. When Botha was replaced by de Klerk, it is de Klerk Mandela, of course, who eventually found a way forward. Release of all political prisoners unconditionally, expungement of the records, a return of exiles, unbanning for organizations, normalization of political activity, scrapping of the Internal Security Act. So I'm a beneficiary to that agreement. Starting September 89 at Portsmouth Prison in Cape Town, 18 leaders were released, including Mandela's co-accused. And one of those was in Pretoria. His name is Dennis Goldberg, because white male political prisoners were kept in Pretoria, maximum security. Then 11 February 1990, from Victor Verster, now called Drakensberg Prison, Mandela was released there. This prison, starting 10th June 1990, first 100 are out. Then last 50, 9 May 1991, almost a year later. And the place was standing empty. As for me, I left this prison with 29 other guys on the 16th of April 1991, and all 30 of us were put on this ferry called Dias and handed over to the representatives of two organizations, International Committee of the Red Cross and the South African Council of Churches, who made sure you've got some sort of soft landing, you know, after prison. And our group, we decided that since none of us has ever been to Table Mountain and we've been looking at this mountain for so long from this island, well, it should be our first port of call, you know. And these two people, with their generosity, of course, made it possible for us. Our idea was that when we get off the boat, we're going to walk up the mountain. Only to find that the closer we get to waterfront, that mountain goes back, you know. So then they organized some transport. 2 hours later, we're now standing at the top of the mountain, looking at this island, and we're all in agreement, folks, of one thing: we're never setting our foot on this island again, you know. Came down the mountain, and we're invited to have our very first meal, you know, as free men. Prison food was the most terrible thing, but we had to eat. And our first meal turned out to be, you know, Kentucky Fried Chicken, not too bad for a first meal. So those two things I'll never forget, you know, Table Mountain and KFC. Then I was back to Soweto, where I originally came from, and I've never stopped being an activist.
The staff of Robben Island with their families. Our post office is coming up on your left-hand side, built in 1943. This is where the prisoners would get their meals, but of course their meals were censored. A prisoner would only get the salutation and the conclusion of the letter. The content would be censored, but you'll hear more about that when you go to the prison after this tour. The white structure on your right-hand side is called Garrison Church, built in 1841. It was a church for the nurses and the doctors who came to look after the lepers. It's the church of the villagers of Robben Island today. We have a tradition in this church on the island today. Every year on Valentine's Day, we have weddings that take place on the island, and this is where they take place. This year, we had 11 couples celebrating 22 years of Robben Island being a museum. And I'm told if you get married in this church, then your commitment becomes a lifetime sentence.